Every time you check your bank balance, shop online, or even apply for a loan, there's a silent player watching. It's not your bank manager, it's not the government, it's AI. And the truth is, these systems can analyze more of your financial patterns faster than you ever could manually, and they're not always using that knowledge in your favor. From shifting prices to nudging you towards certain products, from deciding whether you qualify for credit to freezing suspicious transactions, AI is already shaping your financial life. Today, I'll reveal 6 proven ways AI influences your wallet and how to turn that insight into an advantage. No scare stories, no hype, just what the research, regulators, and real cases show. This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research before making financial decisions. Before we dig in, do you trust AI with your money decisions, or do you think it's a trap? Drop your take in the comments. Here's the first secret you need to know. Algorithms can change the price you see and when you see it. If you've ever watched a flight price jump in a day or found a product cost more tonight than it did this morning, that's not random. More and more companies increasingly use algorithmic pricing that adjusts with demand, competition, and inventory. Some systems also tailor what's shown to user context. The goal isn't to give you the best deal, it's to maximize revenue. Important nuance. Companies may also personalize what's shown and how it's ranked, which changes what you click and buy. One well-known example. Years ago, Orbitz tested showing pricier hotels higher up for Mac users because that segment tended to spend more. The price for the same room wasn't different, the sorting was. Sometimes the algorithm doesn't raise the price. It steers your choices. Compare across sites and use price history trackers before buying. Browse logged out/private mode to reduce personalized steering. If it can wait, set alerts and buy off-peak. Dynamic pricing often moves with time and demand. Now let's move to the second secret. Personalized recommendations often reflect platform incentives. Your homepage, top picks, and buy boxes look helpful, but ranking and recommendations are business decisions as much as technical ones. Hard to prove across all platforms, but EU's Amazon case shows self-preferencing concerns and commitments on buy box, prime, and seller data. Regulators have even scrutinized marketplaces over self-preferencing, where a platform's own products or offers get an algorithmic edge. Amazon, for example, agreed to legally binding commitments with the European Commission concerning how seller data is used and how access to the buy box and prime is determined. This isn't just an abstract concern for policy wonks, it's baked into the everyday browsing experience, quietly nudging your attention towards certain products over others. Whether you're shopping for a gadget, booking a hotel, or choosing a mutual fund, what's recommended is often what benefits the platform most, not necessarily what's best for you. Regardless of where you stand, the key point for you is simple. Platform incentives can shape what you see first. Your edge. Cross-check. Search the same product by brand and by generic keywords. Sort by price or rating manually. Don't rely on the default. When investing, compare any platform's suggested funds with independent lists and scan expense ratios. Treat every list, every carousel, every handpicked for you label as a starting point, not the finish line. The third secret might surprise you. Credit decisions now look beyond traditional credit bureaus with trade-offs. Traditional scores still matter, but lenders and fintechs increasingly explore alternative data, verified rent and utility payments, cash flow from bank transactions, and in some markets, digital footprint signals. The upside: people filed with bureaus can get a fairer look. The risk: privacy, explainability, and bias if models ingest data that correlates with protected traits or behavior unrelated to repayment. Global institutions like the World Bank and other policy bodies call out both the potential and the risks. In some countries and pilots vendors have tested in U.S. prime lending, mainstream underwriting emphasizes financial data, e.g. cash flow, rent. Use of social psychometric data remains limited amid regulatory and fairness concerns. In less regulated environments, these approaches have reached millions with mixed outcomes. For practical purposes, focus on data tied directly to repayment behavior, ensure clear consent, and prefer lenders that publish model governance and dispute processes. Here's how you can respond. Where available, report on-time rent utility data. It can help your profile. Review app permissions. Don't grant financial apps access to data you don't want used. If declined for credit, ask for the adverse action reasons you're entitled to them. Here's the fourth secret you should remember. Fraud detection systems sometimes block legitimate transactions. Regulators and industry groups flag false positives as a recurring issue, especially in CNP channels. Fraud models scan for unusual patterns and block risky transactions. That protects you, but it also means false positives, where real customers are declined for no actual wrongdoing. Research and industry briefings consistently note that false declines are a material issue in e-commerce and card-not-present payments, with measurable business impact and consumer frustration. The Federal Reserve and Kansas City Fed both highlight the elevated fraud risk profile of online CNP transactions, which helps explain why issuers tighten their filters, and sometimes trap genuine purchases. Sudden changes in your spending habits, shopping from an unfamiliar location, or using a new device can all raise a flag. Even a big ticket purchase from your usual retailer can trigger a block if it deviates from your normal pattern. Merchants often lose the sale entirely when this happens, and cardholders face the embarrassment of having to explain a declined payment in front of others. For international travelers, these declines can be more than inconvenient. They can strand you without access to funds at a critical moment. Here's how you can reduce the hassle. Add a travel notice before trips, enable transaction alerts, keep 2 payment methods handy. If a transaction is declined, try a smaller test charge or contact the issuer via the app for real-time review. Here's the 5th secret most people overlook. Timing matters. Well-timed personalization increases conversions. Marketers don't just target who you are, they also target when you're most likely to buy. AI and ML tools often schedule sends and surface offers to match predicted high-spend windows. These systems use past engagement opens, clicks, purchases, along with device activity signals and local time zones to predict when you're most likely to notice and act. In practice, you'll see this as emails scheduled for your peak times, push notifications that land during your active windows, and personalized product recommendations after site or cart revisits. Reputable benchmarks show personalization can lift revenue roughly 5 to 15%. McKinsey, and many vendors now include ML-based send time optimization, so timing is a commonly used lever in modern MarTech. You don't need to tout a flashy 30% timing boost to be credible. The reliable takeaway is that well-timed personalization moves the needle, especially when content relevance and cadence are carefully managed. But beware of over-messaging. Message fatigue can reduce engagement and increase opt-out, so effective programs use frequency caps and honor user preferences. For individuals, that means building a personal buffer weight, say 24 hours before larger purchases, turn off non-essential shopping, jock finance notifications, and shop with a written list so you're steering the session, not the algorithm. And finally, the 6th secret you need to hear. Automated investing can still embed human incentives and data biases. Robo-advisors and AI portfolios feel objective, but they're built by people and businesses making design choices that reflect commercial priorities as well as investment theory. Clear public example came in 2022 when the SEC charged Charles Schwab's robo-advisor subsidiaries over how cash allocations were handled and disclosed. Schwab paid $187 million to settle, without admitting or denying. This wasn't an AI scandal, but it illustrates how portfolio construction can be influenced by platform economics, not purely client returns. Studies from FINRA and the CFA Institute note that algorithmic advice can be sensitive to fee structures, affiliated product incentives, and historical data biases. Model performance can be regime-dependent. Narrow or skewed training data may mishandle shifts. Automation reduces human error, but it doesn't remove the need for scrutiny reading disclosures for cash sweeps, affiliated funds, and hidden costs, checking expense ratios annually against low-cost benchmarks, and treating any AI stock picker as a tool rather than an oracle remain essential steps for keeping your portfolio aligned with your goals. Here's how you can protect yourself. Always compare prices and double-check any investment recommendations outside the platform, suggesting them never rely solely on one source. Be intentional with the permissions you grant. Only share the data that genuinely improves your outcome, like cash flow details for underwriting purposes. Keep your alerts switched on for any spending above a certain limit, and give yourself a cooling off period before making impulsive purchases. And finally, enable two-factor authentication and keep backups in place. Not only will this reduce the risk of fraud, but it will also help you prove your legitimacy much faster if your account is ever flagged. Let's talk about 2 things AI actually gets right when it comes to your money. First, fraud detection is genuinely valuable. Even though false alarms happen, today's AI models stop huge amounts of card-not-present fraud, the kind that would otherwise cost merchants a fortune and eventually trickle down to you through higher prices. That's real risk management. The key is making sure the system is tuned properly. Second, personalization can be a good thing when it's done transparently and with your consent. Getting relevant offers at exactly the right time can make your financial experience smoother and more efficient. The problem comes when that fine line between help and pressure gets blurred. So here's the reality. Pricing and ranking algorithms quietly shape what you pay and even what you get to see in the first place. The incentives of big platforms can subtly influence which products or investments get recommended and who wins that all-important buy box. Credit models are starting to look beyond traditional scores, using alternative data that can unlock opportunities but also bring new risks. Fraud detection systems are powerful shields against scams, yet they can sometimes misfire, locking your money at exactly the wrong time. Personalization works, it drives higher conversions and spending, and that's why it's used everywhere. And even automated investing, as high-tech as it seems, still operates within human and business limits, which is why disclosures matter more than most people think. In the end, the key is simple. Use the system. Don't let it use you. Compare prices, question recommendations, control your own data, and always read the fine print. That's how you turn AI-driven finance from a mysterious black box into a tool that works for you. And if you'd like to dive deeper, I've linked all the credible sources and and references for today's video in the description so you can explore the facts for yourself. Which of these 6 areas have you actually felt in your life a weird price jump, a blocked card on a trip, a recommended investment, and what did you do about it? Share your story. I'll feature some of the smartest tactics in a follow-up video.